our children to be community if we aren't. You can't give away what you don't have. It's not brain surgery, but relationships are tough. Both individually, family, community. That's why I say this is not a charity. This is about change. And we're all in this together. And the reason I wrote From the Rearview Mirror is to talk about the spiritual journey. That as we help others change, we get changed. And then we see our kids come alive. I'll end with this, probably tomorrow. I still get excited. I get excited when I see it actually happening. As I said, start the book with Vinny Di Pasquale. Vinny, in the mid-60s, decided to go back to high school at 30-some years old. He never finished high school, and he said, how can I ask these kids to go back and finish school if I haven't? During that process, he fell in love with a young lady from the suburbs of New Jersey, and he had grown up in Newark, and he always wanted to go back to Jersey, so they got married. He went back over to Newark and then took these ideas and worked in a YMCA there. He married this young lady and had 2 children. The first one had some physical issues but made it. And then a year later, he had another daughter. I saw the one daughter, she was still in diapers, and then the one that was a toddler. It's the last time I saw Vinny because on a basketball court, he dropped dead at 44. He'd done a lot of hard things to his body before he got off drugs, but he stayed clean the whole way, and thousands of lives got affected because of Vinny. Because we made a life commitment, we'd never leave the streets, we'd never leave the vision that we got. Now, I didn't know it was going to end up where I'm ended up, but I kept the vision. I lost touch with the family because she became a widow and moved back out to the suburbs, supported her family, joined this church, and after a few years met this guy and fell in love, and they adopted the 2 daughters. I get an email from one of my team, and she said, Bill, before you open this email, get your handkerchief out. And it was a writer who was blogging in the Huffington Post and talked about coming across this book called From the Rearview Mirror, reflecting on connecting the dots. And she said, I got to know my daddy through this book because I lost him at a young age. It was Vinny's daughter. He was a writer. And I wonder why I wrote this book. And I was, what day is this? Monday. It was last Thursday. I was in Newark. And we had a gathering there. But beforehand, I got to have coffee with her and her sister. And I told her because of what her dad did, there's millions of kids in America that now have hope in the future. And I thank you for what you're doing here to give many children, and someday you'll look through the rearview mirror and you're going to see all these miracles, these children who are our leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Right now, I would like to kind of share with you a little bit about where we're going, and you've seen where we've been, you've seen where we are, and where we're going here in the future. At your tables, there are some information about our organization. There's somebody there at the table who can help you find that information for you. We'd like for you to think about your involvement in your local schools, your involvement in your community, your involvement in your faith, your involvement in other nonprofit agencies. And we want you to think about how you can join our network of friends, our network of hope. We would really like to encourage you to think about your involvement our kickoff of 20 years in Delaware. We're starting a local funding campaign to support our local sites. We've done a lot at the state level in terms of our being able to attract major corporations. AT&T, $300,000. ING Direct Capital One, over $100,000. Bank of America, working with Barclay's Bank at Eastside Charter School. We've made those connections with major corporations. We need to make connections with our local community and our local support in our schools. And it goes more than just the financial piece, folks. It goes to mentoring. It goes to volunteering in our schools. So there's an opportunity in the packet that is given to you today to notate whether your interest in working with us into the future. And we would really love to have you involved in our Communities and Schools movement here in Delaware. And thank you for your time. As we finish tonight, Kia Lockhart, our Wilmington Regional Director, has a few announcements that she wants to share with you as it relates to the Wilmington area. And also we have cake and coffee in the cafe to celebrate this kickoff of the 20th anniversary. And Bill will be staying after to sign copies of his books. So thank you very much, Kia.
Everybody. Again, we just wanted to take the time to thank you so much for coming. As Jim and Bill have talked about, there's so many ways to engage, and as Bill talked about, you still may be like, okay, what is it again? But that's the beauty of it. We do so much, and we can look like the school that we're in, we can look like the community that we serve. We really adapt to be effective in the environments to really cause change. He didn't talk a lot about it tonight, but one of the first times, 4 years ago, when I was working with communities and schools in Charlotte, North Carolina, I heard the concept of tithing growing up in church my entire life, but a new concept was of your gifts and your talents and your time. And so there's something that you can do in some way to be involved. If you are a dentist, in Charlotte I took 30 kids that were 11 and under to get root canals alone because they had no access to dental care. Things we take advantage of, and things that we just think is common sense. That if you don't have running water in your home, you don't get to brush your teeth every night. So those are some extreme situations, and then some other ones, like you just needed the pat on the back. Like you said, at 17, that's the first time he realized anybody gave a care that he was here and that he existed. And now all of us have affected millions of lives because of his vision. So we want to thank you so much for coming. I want to take a second to acknowledge our staff that's here tonight. It's such an honor and a privilege to work with so many talented people who are passionate. This is one organization where it is truly, I think Erica and I were talking the other day, where it's just a place where you genuinely want to work. I've worked at other places where you got to work and pay bills. But we wake up every day genuinely passionate about what we do because we know we're not making an organization rich, but we're literally